Hey everybody, Grest here. So let's take a look at my latest Aluma Hyde project. So Aluma Hyde for brown nose is really cool for the home project doer. So I've been a big fan of Aluma Hyde for a long time, have done quite a number of projects using it. It's not perfect, it's not Cerakote, but it really gives you the advantage of doing something better that'll hold up better to the elements than say a spray-on finish or a paint finish, that sort of thing. But you don't have to worry about having the equipment or the knowledge to apply such as a Cerakote finish. So recently you guys saw a video on this Howa 6.5 PRC project that I've been working on, and if you guys remember from that video, I had picked up a stock from Stockies, and it was actually one of their blemish stocks, so it was a full carbon fiber stock. And as I got to looking at it, there were definitely some blemishes here and there. I was like, you know what, perfect candidate for Aluma Hyde. So I happen to have some leftover stencils from a previous project in multicam, and I decided, well, this is going to be a hunting rifle, and I wanted to kind of do something a little bit different with this. So I went ahead and broke out the stencils, cleaned up the stock, and went ahead and applied some Aluma Hyde. So what I ended up doing, because I wanted to keep some of the carbon fiber on here, if you look at the stock itself, and just so you guys can see that we are clear and safe, no ammunition anywhere to be found, nothing in the chamber, that sort of thing. But if you look at the stock here, you can see that I opted to leave some of the carbon fiber finish in the pattern. So I think it turned out pretty dang cool. So I used Aluma Hyde Magpul FDE, and I used their OD green. And then once I was finished with the entire project, I cleared over it. And I think it turned out pretty good. Is it perfect? No, but it's also going to be a hunting rifle. It's going to get beat up. It's going to get scratched, stuff like that. And it was already a blemish stock. So again, perfect candidate to do something like this. I opted also to leave the barrel in the carbon fiber finish, and so definitely let me know what you guys think about how this turned out. I think it turned out pretty dang cool. I had been wanting to do another Aluma Hyde project for a while, and I have the whole color palette in my workbench, so it's nice to have all the different finishes of Aluma Hyde in case I want to do something. So I know that Brownells has been coming back in stock with a lot of their Aluma Hyde colors, so definitely check them out if you're looking to do a project like that with some Aluma Hyde. I highly recommend it. As far as my process for doing Aluma Hyde, typically I will clean something up with acetone or an appropriate cleaner for the surface that you're trying to use. I use it on plastics, I use it on carbon fiber, obviously, metal, anodized finishes, stuff like that. And it seems to adhere very, very well to almost anything. The only items I've had a little bit of issues with is something that is very pliable, like rubber. Sometimes certain grips, if they have an overmold or something like that, you may have a little bit of issues with that. So it worked really well here on the carbon fiber. A couple things to take note when you're using the Aluma Hyde product. Prep is very important. Make sure there's no oils or anything like that, contaminants that are going to cause an issue. And if you're going to spray the Aluma Hyde, definitely wear a respirator, wear your PPE, and preferably do it outside or somewhere where the overspray is not going to get on things that you are worried about. So definitely keep that in mind anytime you're going to apply any sort of paint finish. Actually, you want to make sure it's well ventilated and you wear the proper protection. The thing about Aluma Hyde, it starts to cure after about within the first 30 minutes or so, but it is an air cure finish that can take up to 2 weeks to fully harden. So keep this in mind whenever you're doing your project, because if you're going to do multi-level colors or multi-stages, you may have to wait for that to fully cure before adding the next color. So what I try to do typically is when I start to spray my Aluma Hyde, especially using stencils or something like that. If you're not using stencils, it's a lot easier. But if you're using stencils, you have a decision you have to make. And that decision typically is, do you let the first coat totally cure for 2 weeks and then add your next coat? Or what I've done is I've let it start to cure and then add my second set of stencils and then added my next color, so that all the colors are curing roughly at the same time. And then of course you can clear over the final product once you pull your stencils off. So that's kind of what I did. I did my 2 colors. I did my first set of stencils, added that color, and then which was the OD green, and then I added my second set of stencils, and then added my Magpul FDE. And then once it had cured for a little while, I pulled all my stencils off, and I actually I prefer to pull the stencils off before it fully cures, because sometimes if it fully cures, sometimes you can have a hard time pulling the stencil off without it ripping the finish off as well. But anytime you pull the stencils off, of course, you may have a little bit of issues there. So I had a little bit of my finish pull off here. But, again, this wasn't meant to be perfect. It's just meant for, dragging around in the woods. And it looks a hell of a lot better than it did in the regular carbon fiber finish. Yep, so once you get your stencils off, you can, if you want to protect it a little better, you can throw a clear Aluma Hyde. Brownells does make an Aluma Hyde clear finish that you can throw in there. It's a matte color, or a matte clear, and works pretty good. I've used that quite a few times. So a little bit of an update on my 6.5 PRC Howa. I have yet to get this range yet. I have my EGW 1913 base on here. I have a set of EGW Keystone rings, and temporarily I currently have a Swamp Fox 2-12 by 44 Kentucky long optic. This is a first focal plane. I had this on a 6.5 Creedmoor rifle at one point. I had it on a Ruger 1022. So I'm kind of just threw it on here for now. I'm still trying to decide what optic I want to go on here. So this thing is heavy. This is a chunky beast. It's about 26 ounces. This is not going to stay on this rifle. So I want to get something else. I'm looking pretty hard at the Leupold VX5 or VX6, as well as a couple of Vortex offerings I mentioned in my previous video. So definitely put your comments down below what type of optic you think this rifle here deserves without spending a gazillion dollars. Would be much appreciated. So anyways, as always, I appreciate everybody watching and subscribing. So just a little bit of a update on this particular rifle, my Aluma Hyde project on the stock. And if you're looking to get your own project kicked off, definitely head over to my website. If you use one of my affiliate links, like over to Brownells, it definitely helps out the channel. So always appreciate it anytime you guys can use my affiliate links. I try to post some codes over there as well to help you, save a few beans on anytime you place an order somewhere. But anyways, that's about wraps it up, guys. I appreciate y'all watching and subscribing, and I will catch y'all in the next video. Y'all take care.